Oh, the nerdiest thing I got to see at CES this year, 2026, I can finally talk about the phone that's really 3 computers in one. Hey there, this episode of Some Gadget Guy is brought to you by viewers like you. All of the incredible people sharing content across social media and the generosity of my patrons at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. More info on those awesome nerds later in the video. I love this so much. This video isn't a review. I don't even have the device in my office right now. I got an early hands-on with a phone I've been dying to talk about. Not the cute keyboard phone, which I'm also excited about that too. No, this phone has been flying under the radar. Now, I'm a huge fan of the company Nex, N-E-X, who makes the Nex Dock and the Nex Pad. These portable monitors and laptop shells designed to help folks use their phones more like computers. A modern, mid-range phone packs a startling amount of compute power inside. We just need a better interface to use that compute power. And we can solve some of that with better hardware. But I get a ton of replies on my Nex Dock videos complaining about software. I genuinely believe in Android desktop mode, Android apps could handle the daily needs of a huge population of people, but there are some situations a proper desktop grade operating system will still be required. Behold, the NexPhone, a product over a decade in the making. The folks at Nex are taking the next step. If traditional phone manufacturers aren't going to deliver on this idea of using our phone to do more, Nex is gonna roll their own. And this is like 3.5 computers in one. And obviously, we start with the phone. It's a phone. This is a solid mid-ranger setup built in a rugged frame. I hate reading off specs, so I'm just gonna list them somewhere here on the screen and you can read them as we go on. Nothing too crazy, a good amount of RAM and storage and the ability to pop in a memory card or go dual SIM with physical SIMs. Of special note is the SoC. It's not a top-of-the-line high-performance chip, and it's a slightly older config for a mid-range chip, but it's one of the long support chips that Qualcomm sells. The kind of support contract used for corporate or industrial devices. The chip will be supported for another 10 years, unlike consumer chip contracts that might expire after 5 or 7 years. That is not to say this phone will be guaranteed 10 versions of Android, but it will make bug fixes and security patching a lot easier, getting longer into the device's life cycle. The chip design looks like it should be similar to a Snapdragon 778, roughly in line performance-wise with something like the Snapdragon 865 from 2020. And funnily, the camera specs on the phone also look similar to what we had on the LG V60 from 2020. Considering the mid-pack price, these specs might seem quaint, but for a device built in limited quantities, they are decently on track for a rugged mid-ranger phone. I had a limited amount of time to handle the phone in a meeting room at CES, so I didn't get to do a bunch of testing. Like, I wasn't gonna use up my time running Geekbench. I was way too focused on the expanded use of the NexPhone. Because cool things happen when we plug this phone into a TV or into another monitor. Nex is cleaning up the bare bones basic Android desktop mode and making it a little more functional. What I saw during the demo was a step ahead of OnePlus. Not just a functional video out, but some of the basics for using apps in a windowed interface on a larger monitor. In my opinion, it was still a little behind the Pixel beta builds, and definitely not as polished as the desktop modes on Motorola or Honor phones, but I thought it was nicely usable for what it was. You can quickly plug into another display and use your Android apps in Windows like you're using a proper desktop or laptop. But according to all the geeks in my comments, that's just not good enough. So what if we did one better? What if on the same partition as the Android operating system, when you plugged your phone into a display, you could also fire up Linux and have Android and Linux side by side. The files on your phone can be accessed by either operating system. There are no weird storage issues or partitions, no reboot required. Your phone is still a phone, getting all your calls and messages, and there's a working Linux desktop. They're side by side. Quick note, please pardon a few of my clips. I couldn't see that my camera had actually focused on the reflection of my face in the monitor. I couldn't tell until I got back to my office to see the footage. A few of my shots are obnoxiously out of focus. But it's the dream, man. I've been waiting for this for so long. It's ludicrous to me that no company has done this, especially the phone brands that don't sell as many laptops or tablets. Why not try to eat up a bit more market share while the bigger brands just coast? But I digress. Back to the phone, the performance is pretty good. We're working in a Linux environment. It's definitely not gonna blow you away like you're on a gaming grade laptop. But my ability to fire up a full version of LibreOffice, jump into documents and spreadsheets, watch video, use a full desktop grade browser, or even do something silly like play a low graphics version of Tetris was indistinguishable from other lower cost systems that I've used. My daughter's school laptop runs Ubuntu, and I think people would be hard pressed to notice performance differences for student grade work. I'm not gonna be editing feature films in 4K on this kind of setup, but it carries us really well through a huge amount of daily computer use. And even for my excitement there, maybe that's still not enough for you. Linux, you might say. Who uses the Linux? It's not a real computer unless I can run Windows programs and a full version of Microsoft Office. Well, it's crazy you'd say that because let me tell you what's next. When you boot up the phone, it does have a separate partition. You don't need to reboot for Linux and Android. Those two coexist, but that extra slice of space can be used to run Windows 11. Now, you might remember Windows phones and Continuum. Here's my little Continuum dock. It's like this, but way better, because it's just regular Windows 11. The folks at Nex have done a little custom work on the UI so it looks better on a phone screen, but when you plug into another monitor, it's not a light version or RT or some other limited mobile version of Windows. It's the real deal, just like I have on my ARM tablet and my ARM laptop. It looks a little like this, but it's the full version. I love it. The display settings just see the phone screen and external display. You can install desktop programs. Windows on ARM has seen massive compatibility improvements with a ton of software, and the emulation has improved radically over the last year and a half. We got to keep our expectations in check for a mid-ranger phone. You're not going to go crazy, but a lot of the office, communications, email, web browsing basics are going to be easily handled by a mid-ranger phone. Beautiful improvements over the last year and a half, and we're benefiting from all that work being able to drive this experience on a phone, a mid-ranger phone. This is what I really wanted to see from the Surface Duo experiment. Windows on ARM back in this time was already getting pretty good, and a Duo 3 could have switched from Android to Windows, but Microsoft chickened out on hardware, and now a portable monitor accessory manufacturer is bringing that idea to market instead. Microsoft just keeps getting so close to a good idea, but then fumbling the ball right before they'd really deliver something great, but I digress again. Because of the differences in software and file system management, you can't interact with the data on your Android partition when you're in Windows mode. That might make some actions a little cumbersome. And performance is not as smooth as in Android Linux mode. Again, mid-ranger phone chip. We have to keep those expectations in check. Windows just needs more compute resources than Linux, and you can see that interacting with the operating system, but it's still hanging in there really well at a tier where I'd feel confident folks would struggle to notice the difference between a mid-price phone and a lower cost laptop. It's frustrating to think we could have been exploring this and improving it and iterating for years now, if Microsoft or some other manufacturer had really taken this concept more seriously. Now, NexPhone comes along, and the idea is not to replace your $10,000 workstation or your gaming rig, but to show how the unused compute power in your phone could replace a lot of the daily tasks you might need a computer for, with fewer and fewer compromises an end user might notice. This is literally the first shipping product even attempting to deliver on this goal. Not another concept or a prototype. I wasn't holding a dummy unit. I was holding fully functional computers. It's going into pre-order now. I wholly expect there will be a few chewy spots that need to be sorted out, bug fixes, polish, improvements. Computers are complicated, and this is 3 computers in one. But this is a significant slingshot forward. We've got a sub $600 phone that can run programs in Android, Linux, or Windows. Why are we spending money replicating similar levels of computer performance between multiple devices? You can't be that kind of tech enthusiast, right? You can't pick up a $1,000 phone and hide behind lazy reviewer commentary, oh, but what about the average consumers, and act like the only correct way to cover average use is to sell people multiple expensive gadgets. So it's even better that a less expensive device can show you actually don't need a ton of compute performance to cover those average consumer daily driver basics. I've been waiting for years to see more competition in this space, and we've been stuck treading water for so long. I'm hoping the NexPhone can stir up more conversation, shine some light on better competition. I'm gonna be hounding the folks at Next to get in early on those pre-orders or test drive a review unit. I'm really excited to see more. So I will drop some links below where you can find more information on the NexPhone. The folks at Next have a whole write-up on the history of this concept with all the specs of the phone detailed for your reading enjoyment. And if you're interested in what you might want to pair with your NexPhone, I just finished a review of the newest Next Dock that can add a touchscreen, keyboard, trackpad, battery, speakers, headphone jack, and USB ports to your NexPhone. This just flies in the face of the device trends that we've seen for years now. That only the most expensive devices can have more advanced features like video output or a desktop mode. And when we think about the needs of consumers, especially as prices on components are climbing and computers and laptops are getting more expensive, don't you think it makes way more sense to put this kind of tech in a mid-ranger if we're supposedly focusing on mainstream expectations? The person who can afford a $1,400 phone probably doesn't need a pocket computer that can also be a tablet, laptop, or desktop replacement. But I'm sure we can think of some people in our circles of family and friends who would be helped out by this kind of concept. If there's a better way to do it, show me. Show me something practical. Let's chat down in the comments, because I love getting to tear into this stuff. And the folks who get to see the results of my testing and reviewing and some of my show coverage first are my incredible patrons, all of the people over on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list of names scrolling by on your screen right now, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, as this list of names, these are the folks that are directly helping to keep the lights on here in the Gadget Lab. They're basically the coolest tech pals in the universe, so I hope you'll check them out. I hope you'll consider joining the community at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy, basically everywhere, but these days I'm trying to spend a bit more time on the Mastodons. I've been poking around Dig. Dig is back in POG form. And a lot less so on the Facebooks, Threads, Instagrams, and none at all on that dumpster fire site. And I will catch you all on the next video.